Today is the 3-year anniversary of the last time that Christmas was celebrated in Palestine. Obviously, this is, I believe this is from the West Bank, but it is remembering the fact that the Holy Family Church, which is, I believe its extraction is also part Greek Orthodox, was bombed by Israel. Shocking. They bomb everything. It doesn't matter. In this case, I would say it's at least somewhat cathartic to see that some changes happen that's positive, but we're going to get to the Santa story in a second. So this was earlier today on the, I believe, in the streets of the West Bank.
I'm fascinated with this. I had no idea they had bagpipes like that. Is that I mean, now I feel completely ignorant. I mean, I obviously know what bagpipes are, but is that a common thing in Palestine, is bagpipes?
Yep. Yeah. I've seen that, myself in person in Jerusalem, in Palestine.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I mean, I shouldn't be so surprised, because the truth is, it's like indigenous instruments are indigenous instruments on many different continents. So whether it's like, Celtic, Britain, Viking based or whatever, but I never knew that. That was really cool.
Yeah. And it's so beautiful. Sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
No, I was just going to say it's beautiful, to see those celebrations. And like you said, in years past, archbishops and Christian leadership in Palestine have called for Christians around the world not to celebrate Christmas in previous years because of what's been going on in Gaza, the genocide. And this is a call that Christian organizations that we work with, Palestinian Christian organizations, heeded, and that we took upon ourselves in New York in previous years, where we went to the Rockefeller Christmas tree lighting and had protests on those days, on Christmas Day, right, in solidarity with our Christian brothers and sisters. And now we see Canary Mission and all these Zionist organizations trying to put this myth of Judeo-Christian values, being like, oh, the Muslims are trying to ruin your Christmas, when it's actually in solidarity with the birthplace of Christianity, that we were trying to call attention to the genocide of the Palestinian people. And one image that sticks in my head that I'll never forget is, at the beginning of the genocide, we saw how those NICU babies in Gaza hospitals were literally left to rot because they shut the power off, and they would not let them evacuate those babies. And so in Bethlehem, at their nativity scene, they had Jesus as a NICU baby that was rotting in those machines.
Well, that would be fine. I mean, he was, Jesus was Palestinian, so nobody would be protecting him. And he was not even just Palestinian, but what do you call it? Emigrating from a war-torn oppression situation and fleeing and being an immigrant, basically. So he'd be an illegal Palestinian.
He'd be blocked by the apartheid wall.
Right. He'd be arrested by be arrested by ICE coming in here.
Well, as beautiful as that is to see, and of course I am partial to bagpipes, considering part of my background, I will definitely say that leave it to Israel to always figure out a way to ruin things, because that's what they do best. And in this case, they decided that Israeli forces detained Santa Claus in raid of Palestinian Christmas celebration, because why not? From the Middle East Eye, which I think is one of the best publications out there. Sorry, Al Jazeera, but Middle East Eye's got you. It's been one-upping you. Al Jazeera flagged us. So from now on, it's okay, that's how you want it. Middle East Eye's going to get it then. And this photo is just so telling, because, again, there's this perception that, oh, all Palestinians are Muslims, or like the story we covered the other day of that Zionist rabbi who was confronted by Medea Benjamin in the Capitol, and he referred to the Palestinian woman as the Arab that talked to me. I mean, the dehumanization of your people knows no bounds, and this case is no different. Israeli police arrested a Palestinian man dressed as Santa Claus during a raid on a Christmas celebration. So it's in Haifa, so Gaza, earlier this week, where the local rights group has said. Police forcibly dispersed festivities held
Wait,
by...
where is this? It's in Haifa. So that's in Ziohel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's in 48. It's
that's not Palestinian territory.
It's in the so-called state of Israel.
What part of the Hunger Games is that in, Jen?
Yeah.
No. Point is that Haifa is coastal. It's Ziohel. It's their second largest city, I believe.
Yeah. But it does have it is still considered, to us as a Palestinian town. Lots of Palestinians live there, but yes, it's in the so-called state of Israel. Now it's not in the West Bank or Gaza.
It's one of the, isn't it one of the, I think it's the city in Ziohel with one of the largest Palestinian population still, because it was always sort of a mixed city in that way. It's one of the few places that is kind of like a mixture now.
Yeah, probably. I mean, a lot of, Palestinians in Gaza are originally from places like Jaffa and Haifa because they wanted to depopulate the coastal cities, the hilltops, and that's where a lot of the refugees ended up there. But yeah, it's in so-called Israel now. But I've been to Haifa. It's still a lot of Palestinian restaurants there, but they do have Israeli passports. The Palestinians who live there.
According to the Masawa Center, an organization advocating for the rights of Palestinian citizens of Israel, police use excessive force, and I'm sure it was quite excessive, while detaining the man dressed as Santa Claus as well as a DJ and a street vendor. Masawa said police also raided a music institute without legal authorization. This is just, to me, it's emblematic of the entire problem here. And I believe there is a little bit more to this story. So let's see.
They arrested Santa Claus.
Okay.
They arrested Santa Claus.
They arrested Santa Claus. Well, you know what? Yeah, it's like, well, as a New Yorker and somebody who, again, I'm from Jersey and I'm a Giants fan. I always hold this over the Eagles fans. They threw snowballs at Santa Claus, and everyone always associates the Eagles football fans with throwing snowballs at Santa Claus as a mark on their not so good reputation as fans overall. So now Israel can have this attached to them forever. Now you arrest Santa Claus on Christmas. Very smart. If people didn't hate you enough already, this just adds a whole other layer to it. And I'm sure you've seen the clip of the Palestinian praying and the guy with the quad who just ran him over.
Ran over him, yeah.
And let me tell you, Jen, the IDF decided to come out and be like, well, this guy doesn't work for us anymore. You see, when you're caught that red-handed in front of the camera, they have to say something. There's no way they can't not say anything. So footage shared
He
online.
doesn't work for them anymore, is what they say. See, he should be in jail.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Like the fact that they're just like, somehow we're saying, oh, but yeah, at least he doesn't work for them anymore. That's...
Yeah, he killed 50 people, but now we decided.
But he's not working for us anymore. Oh, okay. As long as he's not working for you.
Footage shared online shows Israeli police officers dragging the man dressed as Santa Claus from the scene. Other videos appear to show police interrupting a traditional Dopki dance that was being performed in the street. How would you describe a Dopki dance?
So that's like, I would say, if you're familiar, you mentioned your heritage, bagpipes, I'm assuming Irish connection. So, you see the Irish, what is it called? Yeah, why is the name escaping me right now?
Like the river dance, like the tap dancing, the step dance.
Exactly. Yeah. So I would say it's actually very similar. It's very similar to that. I was shocked the first time I saw Irish dancing like that, because it's very similar to Depke dancing. And that's, something that we do at every occasion, every party, every wedding. It's just something that's like a rite of passage for all Palestinians. We all know how to do it. Men, women, we hold hands, and it's like a line dance not a line dance, but
Circle.
Yeah, exactly. In that way.
Yeah.
And it's funny that, that you guys bring this up. I don't know if you saw the tweet from Israel, maybe it came out yesterday or earlier today, where they said the only the only Santa in the entire region, and not just Palestine, they literally mean the entire Middle East, is, quote unquote Israeli. First of all, if he's Christian and he's living there, he's Palestinian. Second of all, that's far from the only Santa. You see Santa on like every street corner in many countries in the Middle East at this time of year, and not to mention, Palestine, where you can find, people dressed up as Santa being arrested for years and years. This is definitely not the first time. And even Palestinians dressed as Santa, throwing rocks to prevent Israeli soldiers from, tanks from entering their villages during, Christmas as well. So it's funny. I guess they wanted to make that tweet true by literally arresting all the other Santa Clauses. So they can say the only one lives in Israel.
Israeli police said they were responding to unusual noise and a disturbance of public order. Yeah, on Christmas.
Do you know that it's as ridiculous as saying, the only real Mickey Mouse lives in Orlando? That's the only real one. The one in Paris isn't the real one. The only real Mickey is in Orlando. That's how absurd that is. Okay.
That actually makes more sense than what they're doing.
Yeah. The detainees told Masawa they were assaulted during their arrest, and knowing the IDF, that assault could be very, very uncomfortable. One of them sustained a shoulder injury and sought medical treatment after his release. In a statement, police alleged that the man dressed as Santa Claus resisted arrest and assaulted and verbally abused an officer, but of course that's not on film. The surge in anti-Christian—
I don't believe that.
I don't believe it. Of course not.
I don't believe that.
The arrests come amid increasing harassment and restrictions on Palestinian Christians in Israel and the occupied territories. Anti-Christian hate crimes carried out by ultra-nationalist Israelis have increased in recent years. These have included trespassing at churches in occupied East Jerusalem and the West Bank, spitting at churchgoers, which has been captured on camera, the destruction of Christian symbols, and vandalism of Christian graves. Now, I will say this, and Nerdeen, I'm sure you would agree, even though you and Tucker Carlson are on completely opposite sides of the political spectrum, Tucker has been very adamant about using his platform to address this issue, and it's having profound effects within the Christian Zionist community in this country, which is why they're coming after him with everything they've got, because they know it's having an impact. So when stories like this from the Middle East Eye come out, it's landing. Like, people are saying, oh, so it's not just the Jews, it's the Christians as well. So this is a really serious part of the equation that isn't getting talked about enough. But as we continue, in the Gaza Strip, the small Christian minority has been subjected to Israeli bombardment targeting homes, schools, and churches since October 2023. 3 historic churches, the Church of St. Porphyrius, the Holy Family Church, which was bombed, and the Gaza Baptist Church have suffered severe damage. At least 53 Christians have been killed directly or indirectly during the war, with many others wounded.
Yeah, I mean, this is a common thing, and not just in Gaza. I mean, hopefully wherever people are introduced to this topic, they can look at the history. I mean, I've been to the, I believe it's called the Church of Nativity in Bethlehem, where, when I went there with my family, the tour guides, I mean, they saw us as like a Muslim family, and they literally like left all of the tourists, all of the European tourists who were coming, Christian tourists who were coming to, basically make pilgrimage or look at that site, and came to us and were like, we can tell you're our Palestinian brothers and sisters, and we'd much rather, spend this time showing you this place and teaching you the history of this place than talking to these Europeans who just want to come, look at this church, and then they don't. Sorry about the background noise. It's just my 6-month-old playing while watching me speak. But basically, who come, look at all of these Christian sites, but don't embody any Christian values because they don't stand with the Palestinian people, right? Like, after they look at that church, they then go tour the Israeli sites and party it up with the Israelis while ignoring the oppression of the Palestinian people. And they showed me how in that church, which is extremely, religiously significant. They say that I think Jesus was born there or something. I'm not 100% sure on my, Christian history, but, during the Intifadas, Palestinians, Christians who were, fighting in the Intifadas were barricaded there for days and days, for weeks, where Israeli soldiers, literally shot bullets at one of the most historic and important Christian sites in the entire world. And, they didn't care, about the significance of this. And, it shouldn't take the fact that people are Christian for folks to care, but the fact that they don't care whether you're Muslim, whether you're Christian, the way that our historical sites are targeted, the way that our people are driven out of their land. I mean, 95% of Palestine's Christian population has essentially been ethnically cleansed because of Israel, being kicked out, and the Judaization, of our historical sites, of our land, in order to take it over. I mean, this is exactly what we're seeing in the West Bank. There's a refugee camp in Bethlehem, the birthplace of Christianity, that has a youth center for the children, and they just got a demolition order for that a couple days ago. This is stuff that you will not find in any mainstream media outlet, not even just mainstream, just Western media outlet in general. I mean, my village, Beit Iksa in the West Bank, was also just de facto annexed a couple of weeks ago. Literally cannot find a single Western media outlet talking about it. I still have family there. Residents there now live under an identity or identification system that's so restrictive that it's basically house arrest. You need a permit to come in and out of the village, which is only like a village of 1,500 people that has like one grocery store, not even a grocery store, basically like a corner store, like a deli, like one butcher shop, and that's it. There's no like universities there. There's no clothing stores there. There's literally like you need to leave the village to do anything. And now, there's been a checkpoint there for years because they were planning on taking it. It's surrounded by the settlements and by the Israeli apartheid wall, even though it takes 15 minutes to go from my village to Jerusalem to go to the Aqsa Mosque. Now it takes over 2 hours because you have to go around the wall, and they're making these new ID systems that they're rolling out in my village first, and I'm sure it's going to go throughout the rest of Palestine, where it's like a magnetic ID card that tracks your every move that you need to be able to get in and out of our village. And they're using what's going on in Gaza and the distraction of that to completely change and upheave the system in the West Bank without so much as a response from anybody.